challenge. It's about counting letters in a word, basically. Let's go ahead and read it and then we'll start with it. It says write a function occurrence that takes in two arguments, a string and a letter. The function should return how many times the letter appeared in the string. So we have some examples here. JavaScript has two A's in it, so it will return, two. Hello has one H in it, so it will return one. And Giggle has three G's in it, so that will return three. Let's go ahead and start this and show how we should think about solving this problem. Let's just write the function now. And this will take in both the string and the letter. Let's just write string like that and let's write letter like that. There we go. And more often than not, when you get a problem like this, they want you to return how many times something appeared, you're most likely going to have to initialize a variable at the top that keeps counts of what you're counting, so something you can use to add something else to. For example, here we can just write let total equals 0. This is what I mean. We can just start with that. You can name that anything you want. And now that we have this here, whatever we count in the function, we can actually just add it to it and then later on return total, which will give us what we need. So let us actually go ahead and think this through. The first thing we want to do here will be the same thing that we did for uppercase yesterday. We're getting a string, and basically we want to see how many times the letter appears in the string. In order to do that, we need to be able to grab those letters in the string individually, right? We need to be able to access those letters individually. So the simplest way we can do this way, just splitting it. So we can go ahead and do string dot split. And basically what that's going to give us is whatever string we put in there is going to split it into an array of letters. So for example, if this was a occurrence and we had this say hello, for example, right now what we should be getting is an array of HELLO, for example. So this is what this split is doing for us here. Now that we have the split, we will actually want to go through and access each of those letters. So we can do that with the for each. The for each method is going to loop through it and access each of those, and whatever we want to do to it is going to help us do that. So let's go ahead and you can call this whatever you want. I'm going to call it character. So for each character in that string, we'll use an if statement here to see if the character is equals to the letter that we're provided in the argument. So we can do this as right here. If character is equals to the letter which we're getting here, then what do we want to do? We simply, now we can use the total that we initiated up there, right? We simply want to add 1 to the total, right? So we can just do that with total plus plus. It's the same as saying total plus 1. So I hope you understand what's going on here. We split the word into individual letters and we're going through each of those letters. For example, if this is hello right here and we're trying to see how many times L appears, we're going to through each of these individual letters. So we'll see, say it's HL, it's not, so we'll move on. It's EL, it's not, so we'll move on. It's LL, yes, and we'll add 1 to total, which means total will be 1 now. And we'll move on again. It's L1, and yes, and we'll add 1 to total, which means total will be 2 right there. And that's how we're keeping count of this whole thing. And the last thing we have to do here is simply to just return total, because now we have the count for total and we're returning it. So let's try this out and see if this works, right? Let's do let output equals occurrence right here, and let this will take in another argument, which is L. So this right here, if this works, this should return us 2 because L appears twice in hello. So let's just do node occurrence.js. What is going on there? Return total. Yeah. Oh, I'm not console logging this out. Console.log output. So there we go. We have 2 there. And if we had more L's inside of this, like now we should have 5 L's, right? If we run this again, now we'll give 5. And that's how we go. If we change this L right here to E, which appears once, now we should get 1 right here. And if we change it to something that's not here at all, which is like Z, we should get 0 because we're adding nothing to total. So more than often when you get a challenge like this that's asking you to count something, you're probably going to have to initialize something up there to help you keep count of whatever you are counting. And that's it for this. Also, watch out. This, if you get a question like this, you might want to ask, do capital letters count and things like that. If capital letters do count, then make sure you turn everything into lowercase before you start. So turn the string into lowercase, then split it, then do the for each, and do the same thing that we just did. But yes, that's how you solve this problem and count the letters in each of the string, how many times that letter appear in the string.